Does that mean if I want to be a ranger and I play the Renkai race, I'm going to be worse than an elf race ranger? No. As you can see from the pre-made assets Intrepid made us for the racial breakdowns and the archetype breakdowns, this is my belief. This is my personal belief, but it is, you see the Kalar, the Empyreans, the Renkai, and the Dunir are all gold, and the Veilun, the Pyre, the Vek, and the Nakua are all blue. And then on the archetype breakdowns, you have tank, fighter, rogue, and ranger are all red. And you see mage, cleric, summoner, and bard are all aqua. My belief is that every parent race can play every primary archetype well. However, the sub races are going to either be martial or magical. So I think the Vek are going to be good at being mages, clerics, summoners, and bards. I think the Renkai are going to be good at being tanks, fighters, rogues, and rangers. Boom. So anyway, the races, I think that you're going to be able to play the parent race. I think you're going to be able to play the parent race as the class that you want. But this is also a really big thing for me where choice matters. It's a great choice if choice matters, but it's nice if you're not restricted in that choice. No, you have to be restricted in that choice. Because if you're not restricted in that choice, then that choice doesn't matter. If I can be a Vek and be an equally good tank as I can of any of the other 7 races, then that's not a choice. That's not a meaningful choice. This isn't the Matrix, man. This isn't the Matrix where the problem is choice, and we have to have a choice, even if it's only the illusion of choice. We have to have meaningful choice to our races and our class combinations. If we don't have meaningful choice, and the choice doesn't carry weight, then why bother having 8 races? And some people say, well, the lore and the experience will be different. Bullshit. Nobody went back and did all 8. Okay, not nobody. There were very few of you that went back and played all 8 of the Star Wars The Old Republic lines. Very few of you did that. A few of you may have. I'm willing to bet most of you did not. I'm willing to bet that most of you played your main class and maybe an alt class in Star Wars The Old Republic, even though there were 8 available. I only did 4. I didn't do all 8. So I don't think saying, well, people are going to go and look at all the content. So Karthos did, but he was obsessed with the game story. It would be a bit boring, though, if every time you see X class, they're always X race. That's why I said you get the golds doing the red classes, you get the blues doing the aqua classes. So a Vek can be any of the 4 aqua. A Veilun can be any of the 4 aqua. An Empyrean can be any of the 4 red. Then you're not going to see every tank is a Kalar, every fighter is an Empyrean, every rogue is a Renkai. You won't see that if you do 4 and 4 split. And that'll work just fine. Feels unnecessarily limited. No, it's not. It's not unnecessarily limited. It's specifically limited. Okay, so you can't be there. If a Vek can be equally good as a fighter as a Renkai, why do I have 2 sub-races? Why not just have 4 races then? I'll tell you this. In Final Fantasy XIV, they have sub-races. They have sub-races for the Lalafell, for the I don't even know the other fucking races. I play a Lalafell and now I play an Aru, whatever. My wife wanted to be a dragon person, so we're dragon people. So why bother creating sub-races if the sub-race can be equally good? Why bother having the Vek and the Renkai if they can do all 8 classes? Take a Renkai and a Vec tank. The Vec can simply be better at evasion tanking, while the Renkai can be a meat wall tank. Simple and meaningful without being restrictive. Good, now do it 6 more times. Now do it for the other 6 sub-races, which you won't be able to, because there's not 8 ways of tanking. And so now you have the question, now you have the matter of, you've done specialization with the races. Why do you have augments? Why do you have social organizations? Why do you have nodes? Why do you have node types? Because you chose one area to say, I'm going to shoehorn. Why do I have to, you've actually, what you've done, you've actually made the game more restrictive than I did. Because you said that a Vec is going to be a better evasion tank. Well, why should I be restricted like that? So, and why do we have 4 races then? The problem is that people always want to say, well, I don't want to be told what race and class I have to play. Nobody ever tells you that. Unless they specifically race lock it or class lock it or gender lock it, you're not told. This game does not tell you. This game does not tell you can't be a Vec tank. Everybody may tell you that a Vec tank is more than 10% less optimal. But you chose to be a Vec tank. Can you fill in the problems with your decision through social organization, through religion, through PvP seasons, through horizontal progression? I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to make race class combination choices meaningless. And then if you're going to do that, just get rid of 4 of the sub races. If everybody can do everything equally well, then stats don't matter, race doesn't matter. And very quickly we're going to end up having a MOBA. I don't want a MOBA. If I want a MOBA, I'll go play a MOBA. I want an MMORPG. So I'll take the detriment for plus 100 to a fun. Exactly. I played a Gelka White Mage in Final Fantasy XI. And before they put in the merit system, a Gelka White Mage was the worst possible combination. I would get kicked from parties before I even had a chance to prove that I could do what was needed. Was it hard? Hell yes, it was hard. Did I have to manage my mana? Absolutely. My MP? Absolutely. When I was a Taru White Mage, I could just fucking free spam everything and sit down and have mana again in like 8 seconds. Don't tell people that they can't do something. Just explain to people that it's going to be more difficult if you do it. Race should matter, but you could make a race that is a tankier racial, which would make it better for tank specifically, but you could use it to make your DPS tankier for longer battles. Yes, that's how, that right there is how you make race matter. The Renkai, they have a higher strength and stamina buff. Sure, they might have a racial stat spread which is detrimental to healing. But if you can make that up through a specific religion, a specific social organization, specific gearing, then let the player do it. Let the player have fun trying to do it. I'm fine with imbalances if it provides choice and room for experimentation and maybe specialized builds, even if they're not optimal. That's exactly, by giving people choice, that's exactly what you create. What if a Dunir is a better protector, but a Nakua is a better shaman? I highly doubt that. Otherwise, your racial spread won't be right. Your racial spread wouldn't be right. If that's how you did it, then your spread would be meaningless, because then you've created a parent race which is going to be bad at some things. Remember, the point is that your stats matter. So a Vec is going to be better at some of the. I highly, and guys, just go with logic here. I highly doubt that a Vec is going to be a good mage and a cleric, but a good rogue and a ranger. Is it possible? Sure. But doesn't it just lend itself to more common sense says that one side of the sub races are going to be good at the magical and one side of the sub races are going to be good at the martial? It just makes sense. It's just good business. How do you feel about instead of racials, we get culturals? The passes are based on what religion and culture you choose to become part of, which isn't really all based on the race you play. Again, then why do we have races? The passes are based on what religion and culture you choose. Do you get that? You get those through augments. If race isn't gonna matter, then make everybody human. Save yourself all that bullshit design time. If the race doesn't matter, make one race. So no, my answer to that is I feel my race and my class, because they're permanent. My race and my primary archetype, since they're permanent, should be meaningful. Now, culturals, absolutely, and we're already getting those. With that same logic, why have cosmetics if they don't add stats to your character? Very good point. Because they have to sell something to make money and they don't want a box price. I saw two human races. What would be the difference between them? They're not two human races. There's one human race. They're both Ayla humans. One of the Kalar, one of the Valoon. They're both Ayla humans. They're just sub-races. You want to know the differences between them? I can't tell you. We don't have the stats for the individual sub-races yet. Races have to be bad at something and better at others. Otherwise, people will always choose one race, or if the game is perfectly balanced, it will tend to be bland. Yeah. The goal is to make the game imperfectly balanced perfectly. The goal is to make it so that you can overcome all your detriments. Look at all the Vec Orc fans we have in the community. Yeah, man, that happened for a lot of reasons. The Vec Orc love comes from a lot of different places. Some of it's silly. Some of it's just silly shit that we have going on. But I agree with you. Race has to be a selling point for some people. I'm sitting here waiting for the Talnar. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the people who aren't dirty perverts, who want to play Talnar, and Talnar has been ruined by all the dirty perverts. Have they talked about more races in the future? No, there probably won't be more races, and there probably won't be more classes. Because keep in mind how much rework you have to do if you add even one race or one class in. Now, could they do a couple of weird different things? Sure. With a new expansion, could they create a new race? Sure. A couple of new races? Sure. Do you create new races and new classes that old races can't become the new classes and new races can't become the old classes? Sure. Do you do maybe an expansion pack that has a 4x4 like I hate to say this, but you do like monk, druid, a tank, and a new support? Sure. Do they have their own 4x4 grid? So instead of adding 17 classes by adding in one new primary archetype, you only add in 16 total new classes because you keep it its own self-confined grid? Sure. Is that going to make people happy? No. Is that going to be something new? Sure. Is it possible that instead of releasing new classes, you do what some people just are salivating for? You do hero classes? Sure. Do you do like Final Fantasy 1 where I'm a cleric plus something, and then I go on to do a quest where I give a random dude in a castle a rat's tail, and he promotes me to my hero class? Sure. What do people mean by hero class for this game? They don't mean anything specific by hero class for this game. They're just talking about hero classes from other games. I've never seen a good. I've seen like Paragon levels. I've seen like hero classes done good. I've seen it done bad. I think they could do something like that down the road. Do I think they have to? No. Speaking of the Talnar, on the wiki and the lore of the elves, it mentions a race of elves that existed in the Underrealm before the fall. Do you think that's going to be something like Dark Elves? Probably. Although the Underrealm is misunderstood by a lot of people. It wasn't created. Apparently, the Underrealm that the Dark Elves lived in wasn't the Underrealm that the gods created to save the people who weren't smart enough to get to the Divine Gates on time. We know that there's several lesser races. There's several minor races. Yes. There's a lot of stuff that needs to come out and be understood, and we're waiting on that. So what we have here is an end screen. I'd like to say a big thank you to all those names scrolling up the right-hand side of the screen. Those are my sponsors over at Patreon. Wouldn't be able to pay the bills without them. For the rest of you, there's videos. Follow the channel, like, subscribe, do all those social media things.